Have you ever wondered if dinosaurs could be brought back to life? This thought, as fantastical as it may seem, has captivated our imagination for decades. The allure of dinosaurs, these majestic creatures that once ruled the earth, is undeniable. Their size, their power, the mystery surrounding their extinction, all these aspects draw us in and make us wonder, what if they could return? From the awe-inspiring T-Rex to the graceful Brachiosaurus, dinosaurs have been immortalized in books, films, and popular culture. Who could forget the thrilling sensation of watching dinosaurs come to life in movies like Jurassic Park? It's a combination of terror and fascination that's hard to resist. Yet, the idea of reviving dinosaurs isn't just a figment of Hollywood's imagination. It's a scientific possibility that is actively being explored. But to truly grasp this concept, it's crucial to understand the science behind it, the very essence of these prehistoric creatures. But before we dive into the possibility of this happening, let's first understand the basics of dinosaur DNA. You might be wondering, how can we even get dinosaur DNA? Well, it's a fascinating question. And the answer is steeped in scientific intrigue. DNA, the building block of life, degrades over time. It's like an ancient manuscript written in a forgotten language. Over thousands of years, the pages crumble, the ink fades, and the words become indecipherable. Similarly, DNA breaks down and becomes unreadable. The rate of this degradation depends on various factors, such as temperature, humidity, and exposure to radiation. In the case of dinosaurs, we're dealing with a time span of over 65 million years. That's a lot of time for DNA to degrade, making it incredibly challenging to find dinosaur DNA that is still intact. But don't lose hope just yet. There are a few potential sources where we might be able to find preserved dinosaur DNA. One such place is amber hardened tree resin that can preserve organisms trapped inside for millions of years. Think of it as nature's time capsule. Insects often trapped in amber could have feasted on dinosaur blood, and their preserved bodies may still hold traces of dinosaur DNA. Another possible source could be frozen specimens, much like how mammoths have been found preserved in ice. If a dinosaur happened to die in a very cold region and was quickly covered by snow, there is a slim chance that their DNA could be preserved. However, it's important to note that even if we did find dinosaur DNA, it's highly unlikely that it would be whole. DNA degradation results in fragmented sequences, like a jigsaw puzzle with most of the pieces missing. This makes it incredibly difficult to reconstruct the entire DNA sequence of a dinosaur. To put it into perspective, it's like trying to recreate an entire book from a single sentence. It's a monumental task, and one that poses significant scientific hurdles. However, even if we could find dinosaur DNA, it wouldn't be enough to recreate a dinosaur. There are other complexities involved, which we will delve into in the next segment. So why can't we just use the dinosaur DNA we find to clone a dinosaur? Well, it's not that simple. Cloning is a complex process, and cloning a dinosaur is even more so. Let's consider the first hurdle. To clone any living organism, we need a complete and undamaged DNA sequence. The DNA is the blueprint of life, containing all the information necessary to create an organism. But dinosaur DNA is ancient, dating back millions of years. Over time, DNA degrades and breaks down. Even under the best preservation conditions, it's highly unlikely that we could find a complete dinosaur DNA sequence. Now let's say we were incredibly lucky and we found a complete, undamaged dinosaur DNA sequence. We've overcome the first hurdle, but now we face the second. We need a compatible egg for the embryo to develop. This is where things get tricky. Cloning a sheep, for example, involves transferring the DNA into a sheep egg that has had its own DNA removed. The egg then begins to divide, creating an embryo that is genetically identical to the original sheep. When it comes to dinosaurs, however, we don't have dinosaur eggs lying around. Even if we could use the egg of a closely related species like a bird, there's no guarantee that the egg would be able to support the development of a dinosaur. The egg and the embryo need to communicate in a way, with the egg providing the right nutrients and signals to help the embryo develop. This communication process evolved over millions of years, and there's no way to know if a bird egg could speak dinosaur, so to speak. So, cloning a dinosaur is not as simple as finding some dinosaur DNA and sticking it into an egg. It involves overcoming significant scientific hurdles, each one more complex than the last. It seems like a daunting task, but scientists are exploring other ways to bring dinosaurs back to life. Did you know that birds are the closest living relatives to dinosaurs? This fascinating fact is the foundation for an intriguing scientific investigation that could potentially bring dinosaurs back from extinction. Scientists are currently exploring the possibility of manipulating bird DNA to reverse engineer a dinosaur. Now you might be wondering, how is that even possible? Well, let's dive into the science behind it. The principle is based on what is known as atavism activation. Atavism in biological terms refers to the reappearance of a characteristic in an organism after several generations of absence, usually caused by the chance recombination of genes. Essentially, it's like a genetic flashback. So how does this apply to birds and dinosaurs? Well, birds carry within their DNA the genetic history of their dinosaur ancestors. These ancestral traits are usually dormant, hidden away in the genetic code, but they are still there. And with the right trigger, it's possible that these traits could be reactivated. The concept of atavism activation is not entirely new. In fact, a few years ago, scientists successfully managed to activate dormant genetic traits in chicken embryos that resulted in them developing dinosaur-like snouts instead of beaks. This groundbreaking experiment demonstrated that it's possible to awaken the dinosaur within, so to speak. Now, before we get too excited, it's important to note that we are still a long way from hatching a full-fledged dinosaur from a chicken egg. The science of atavism activation is complex, and we are only just beginning to understand its potential. There are also significant ethical considerations to be taken into account, which we will explore in the next scene. Moreover, the goal is not to create Jurassic Park in real life, but rather to deepen our understanding of evolution and the genetic ties that bind all life on Earth. Although this science is still in its early stages, it's a fascinating possibility. The idea of dinosaurs roaming the Earth again may seem far-fetched, but in the realm of science, nothing is impossible. But even if we could bring dinosaurs back to life, should we? This is a question that forces us to delve into the ethical implications of resurrecting extinct species. The concept of bringing back extinct creatures like dinosaurs may sound thrilling, and the possibilities for scientific discovery are tantalizing. However, it's essential to remember that these are creatures that once roamed the Earth millions of years ago. Their ecosystems, their food sources, their predators, and their prey have all changed or disappeared altogether. If we were to reintroduce dinosaurs into today's world, we would be introducing them into an environment that's vastly different from what they knew. And this raises a significant ethical question. Would it be fair to the dinosaurs? They might struggle to adapt, suffering as they try to survive in an unfamiliar world. Furthermore, we have to consider the potential impact on our current ecosystems. The introduction of an extinct species could disrupt the delicate balance that exists within our ecosystems. We've seen this happen time and again when invasive species are introduced into new environments. They can outcompete native species for resources, leading to a decrease in biodiversity and potentially causing irreversible damage. It's also crucial to consider that the resources needed for such a project could be used elsewhere. In a world where many living species are on the brink of extinction, should we be focusing our efforts on bringing back the dead, or should we prioritize protecting the living? In thinking about these ethical implications, we're not just contemplating the resurrection of extinct species. We're also grappling with broader questions about our responsibility to the natural world, our power to manipulate it, and the potential consequences of our actions. In the end, it's not just about whether we can bring dinosaurs back to life, but whether we should. We're reminded that with great scientific power comes great responsibility. We should always consider the potential impacts and ethical implications of our scientific pursuits. While the science is exciting, it's important to consider all aspects of this fascinating question. So, can we bring dinosaurs back to life? This has been our guiding question throughout our journey. We've delved into the allure of dinosaurs, understanding their primal draw. We've explored the basics of dinosaur DNA, the very building blocks of these ancient creatures. We've examined the complexities of regeneration, the scientific hurdles that stand in our way. We've also considered the role of birds in dinosaur regeneration, our feathery friends providing a surprising link to the past. And of course, we've pondered the ethical implications, the profound questions that arise when we contemplate resurrecting extinct species. While current science tells us that it's not possible to bring dinosaurs back to life, we must remember that the future holds limitless possibilities. As we continue to advance in our understanding of genetics and regeneration, who knows what may become possible? For now, we'll have to keep wondering and marveling at these magnificent creatures from the past.